Okay.
And hold on, we are live. We are live. I think so. Yes, there we are. Bunto and
Well,
I.
welcome to the show, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
This is I wouldn't necessarily. Well, it's like a mulligan because of the failed hangout earlier.
A mulligan. What's a mulligan?
A mulligan is a golf term where, like, if you tee off and it goes into the pond, you say, hey, "I'm gonna take a mulligan," and they let you, reshoot without penalty. Never
Oh,
played golf?
miniature.
Yeah. Yeah, mulligan.
Oh, okay. So it's like a second chance.
Yeah. So you could just take mulligans, man. It's like, if your first marriage don't work, take a mulligan.
Okay. I'm getting a little noise from your microphone, like a.
All right, I'll put on headphones, but okay, you go ahead and lead off with something interesting, and let me see what you got. Hit me with your best shot there, bro, Joe. Let me hear it.
Hit me with your best shot. Come on, hit me with your best shot. Well, anyway, no, spirit-filled atheists. I hope you're not getting. There's a guy mowing in the next field over there. I hope you
I
don't
can't
hear
hear
that
nothing.
too much.
We're
Okay,
fine.
good, good, very good. Anyway, I was curious. It says in the book of Galatians in the Bible. I know how you just love Bible stories, Bonto.
Sure.
But it says in the book it says in Galatians that the fruit of the Spirit, all right, the signs that someone has the Holy Spirit, apparently. This is Paul talking to the church of Galatia. He says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, otherwise known as patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self control. And it goes on to say, against such things there is no law.
How fortunate.
And it goes on, and those who are Christ's have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us walk in the Spirit. So, yeah, they gives you a whole list. This is pretty much a common scripture amongst a lot of Bible reading Christians. You know what the fruit of the Spirit is. And I'm always like, why can't someone who's not a believer express these things?
Sure. It's like a wide paintbrush.
Yeah,
Okay, what always comes to mind is this. You die and then you wake up in heaven, right? So that thing actually exists, right? And then supposedly there's a day of judgment there where you have to explain yourself, right?
yeah,
You have
apparently,
to,
yeah.
say, hey, how
There's
come
supposed to
Bunto
be
you
this,
didn't get the whole
right,
thing,
it's supposed
man?
to be Christ on the throne there. There's going to be like the great white throne, and everyone's going to be judged for what they've done.
Why didn't you believe any of it? I mean, how come it didn't get through to you? And we, you have to be like, well, hey, I lived a good life, right? I just didn't, understand you had anything to do with it.
Right?
Now, the Christian will say, well, then you get to go to hell, right? But then the common sense person will say, like, well, doesn't it, all the guy is admitting is that he just didn't get it, but he still lived a good life, right?
Hmm.
See what I mean? So that's what comes to my mind when you bring up that verse. It's like, you could be totally witless, clueless about God, but if you're decent, right?
Yeah.
That kind of coincides or is congruent with what when I think about the Bible. I don't see why you have to be a Bible literalist or believe really any of it to get the notions of right and wrong and good and bad from the stories. It's not. I don't see why that component of belief is the linchpin um, of righteousness or decency.
Okay, when you take a university course, you have to take finals, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the Christians are, right? This is finals. When you finally die and you show up in heaven, well, take finals, right? They ask you
Well, but
questions.
I don't agree with you. I think if you take if you go and you audit a class in a university and you can apply the things that you've learned, then whether or not you take the exam does not reflect what you've learned, only in the eyes of the institution.
It's a good point.
Mm.
Should bring that up to Christians.
They don't care.
They don't care.
I'm right now. I'm at my wit's end on that. You know, I mean, I was chatting with Laron earlier today. He's like a fucking adult child. He really is. You know, between him and Arcane, I feel like I'm literally in like a third grade class with children that are spoiled. And I hate to say it because I don't like thinking this, but it's hard not to generalize when it's just repeatedly being hammered into my head, these people. And that's why I'm so grateful when I come across Christians that at least can have a conversation without and receive what's being said without having to defend themselves. I'm not attacking Christianity or these people. I'm usually not understanding.
Okay, this comes to mind, Eric. Have you hooked up with anybody yet in your life? Have you gotten married or in a relationship?
No. I mean, I had an 11-year relationship, but it's not current.
Let's suppose this happened. You die, and then you go to, Krishna or something, and he says, okay, listen, you have to hook up with somebody who's way stupider than you. And it's like, well, you have to go through each life,
that's
reincarnation,
not possible, though. We know
hooking
that's
up with
not
somebody
possible.
who's way stupider than you.
That's not possible. Nobody is stupider than me.
Well, trust me, Eric. These third grade Christians, and so like the point is that you have to actually connect with these people that are way stupid.
That's a good point. That's a good point. They're different than I am, and I'm different than they are. You're right. That is part of when I do feel whole and I'm in one of these interactions, and when I can approach it by, wait a second, I need to try and help facilitate this conversation into an understanding, then it seems to work. But those times are few and far between because I don't let myself go to those places often enough.
Hard.
And they happen to be the most satisfying interactions that I have. Brojo, the one with Supreme Wisdom was exactly that. Was that yesterday? Yeah, or day before.
Okay.
This guy is a Muslim from England, South Africa, and for a while we were not relating at all. And then we both put down our defenses, and Joe put down his defense, and you were there, and Brojo, and you're always pretty much not defensive. So I think your influence really was a positive element. And we ended up, when we finished the conversation, there was gratitude. That is a
positive outcome.
Yeah,
Yes.
very positive. With these guys, I don't know if I can do that. That's great, but I'll tell you, it's hard. Bunto, you are not at all what I expected you to look like.
Oh, really? What did you expect?
This first time you seen him?
Yeah, well, second time. Your voice doesn't match you. Your voice is.
Go back and get that fixed.
Are you gonna get the balls? You're gonna get the balls reattached.
Hi, everybody.
This.
Can you do keepies?
No, it was.
There's an app for that.
That's what
for that too. No, I just did. I just never. I just assumed. You know what? I assumed.
That was a fat guy?
No,
I have a fat
not
voice.
at all. I don't know what it was. Just different.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't assume
now I'm just so used to it now. Now that I did see his face and everything. Now
I'm glad that you show your face actually, because it's.
I'm gonna show my whole body eventually.
No, please don't. Please don't. No.
We got pictures.
I heard.
Got pictures now.
I've heard. But yeah, I'm glad that you're showing your face. It makes it easier for me to relate.
It was pretty much by request. People kept saying, show your face, show your face, show your face. So I just, eventually around my birthday, I just went out and got the cam.
Good.
Good.
You guys, I love my dog so much.
You can tell.
Such a good girl. She's such a good girl. Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? Are you my best gal? She loves being kissed. Watch.
See,
You are
that's
so
love.
good. She's
And
such a good girl.
she seems to love you too.
Well,
She
okay,
does.
like those.
What?
Let's say Arcane Logos was a dog lover. Could you get along with him better?
Um, Laron is a dog lover. I would get a. It's you know what? Laron knows how to push buttons. That's very hard for me because I'm good at pushing buttons too.
I don't know
So
LaRon that much, but I think I saw you guys on the outside chat going at it a little bit
yeah,
before.
well, he was like doing his best to irritate me, and I'm like, dude, is that how mature? He posted 12 straight comments that I was ignoring, trying to irritate me.
Is he a Christian?
Yeah.
Huh.
Uh, and it started out with him trying to irritate me. Like, without being provoked, he tried to irritate me.
Now
Because,
I don't understand that. Like, I guess like half the Christians that I come across don't seem to express these fruits of the spirit. And
exactly.
I can also probably definitely name quite a few of atheists or people of other belief who do express these fruits of the spirit.
Okay,
So
Brojo,
it's
could you
like,
do me a quick favor? And sorry to interrupt, but paste the link in the side chat so I can give it to a friend. Hangout link.
well, I kind of only put, sent out invites to a choice few.
Oh, it's Faith.
Okay, as long as she behaves. She wants to chime
Can't
in.
promise that.
You know what? You know what, Joe? I don't think that it has anything to do with Christianity. I think it has to do with the individuals.
Hmm.
I it's hard. I don't want to pass judgment and make a gross generalization, but for some reason, maybe it's kind of a gang mentality, a little bit. Do you understand what I mean by that?
A gang mentality, you
Yeah,
said?
yeah, in the
Uh,
sense of um,
groupthink
groupthink more than a gang mentality, yes, or group behavior and groupthink.
of a certain denomination of Christians, or
Um, the Christians in social media, maybe
uh,
the Christians that are speaking out to defend. I don't know what it is, dude. I just don't know. But it's a curious thing that I recognize also. Whether or not it's accurate or if it's just,
because
from
you would
my
think a
filter.
Christian, now, believe me, there's no bias here when I say this. That I can honestly say that my wife expresses these things. All right, I mean, she is a woman of faith.
Hmm.
If you met her, I mean, she's the kindest, gentlest person you'll ever meet. She doesn't come without her faults, no doubt, but overall, she fits that criteria. Okay,
Right.
um, and I would just think that you know, there's a song. I remember a song when I was a Christian said, um, "They will know that you are Christians by your love," and I know
Did Roy
that.
Montero write that one?
No, no, it's like an old hymn. But I think part of the goal is that Christians want to be so filled with the Spirit that they express these attributes of the Spirit that it says that people would say, how, why, and gives them an opportunity to share their faith, But I find so many times you hear such the opposite. I'm hearing people who seem to have no love, no tolerance.
Hey, bro, Joe, will you send Joe Carter a link? He wants to come in.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
he
think
should he should have got one. He's definitely on my list.
maybe you're too selective with your invites.
Maybe.
Oh, okay, well, like when you put it in the public feed, what happens?
Well, I don't want to get trolls. That's the
Yeah,
thing,
I agree with
Okay, so
him.
people are
You know what I'm
coming in
saying?
trolling.
Well, you could get
Sometimes.
anybody. It's if you bring in people that have good conversations that will challenge themselves and be courteous, it tends to be more fruitful.
All right, I'm sending an invite to all my circles. There it goes. All right.
Just put it in a public feed, man, and then if a troll comes in, just bounce them out.
Yeah, but then it's a pain in the ass, dude.
Oh, God,
I
button
think so.
push,
I think
Eric.
so.
All
Eric,
right,
there's
just for
people
you
roofing in
guys.
the 100-degree heat now. You can press a button to kick a troll out, believe me.
All right, I'll put it out.
Quinto,
I'll
where
put it
are you from? What part of the country?
Texas. Austin, Texas.
Oh, have you gone to the Atheist Experience yet?
Well, I've seen, actually, when I lived in Austin, I got my ACTV producers, so those guys are down there. But I haven't, like, gone to the show. I mean, I've seen it on TV.
You know what? I want to go to Texas just to go to the show.
Oh, you like it that much?
I do. I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I think that they offer. You know what? I don't necessarily like Matt Dillahunty. I think I would butt heads with him. But when he's on and he's really explaining a perspective,
Right.
he can be very effective. And when he's really on, sometimes when he's talking to somebody who's interested in philosophy and has an open mind and is, then he's really quite effective. It's impressive.
Yeah. He's kept that show going for a long time now. Him and that woman, I keep seeing her. I forget her name, though.
Tracy?
Tracy, yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Tracy
the link is out
Harris.
there. The link is out there on the event page. Those listening, remember there are 2 Brother John accounts. That's because of the whole Gmail mess up before, but it's out there. So there you go. Hey, Sean.
What's up?
Looks like Wally.
Yeah, Wally.
Man, that's Johnny Five. Come
Johnny
on now.
Five. Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny Five.
I can't stay that long, but I wanted to kind of offer a perspective.
Sure,
Are you asking just kind of the general question about why certain or some Christians act the way they do, or they? I mean, I just noticed the title of it was Spirit-Filled Atheist or Spirit.
Either that, or
atheist.
Why
how
do
is
people?
how is it that atheists seem to express, more of the fruits of the spirit than Christians do
At times.
at times?
I would say that atheists are kind of being, or are kind of pushed into being extra super nice in these days and times right now, just to kind of make up for that stigma that's been attached to atheists. But then when we lash out, it can be interpreted as attacks. But
No, I don't think so at all. I could be wrong, but I really don't think that I'm trying to be nice to people when I'm being nice. I'm
Just being yourself.
I'm actually trying to be nice to myself. Yeah, it's more being present for me anyway. Maybe it's like that for some. I honestly, if I'm being authentic, I don't really care what other people think.
Well, okay, look at it this way. If a Christian's going to heaven, why the hell does he have to be nice to you?
It's a good point.
well, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to how they are towards other atheists, I think they're acting exactly how they should, and very predictably so. We're not part of that their in group. So as far as love thy neighbor and stuff like that, that doesn't. No, they're not. They're not trying.
They're not trying to get us into their in group.
There's probably a few of them, very small few of them. But
I'll tell you why I disagree with you. You ready? Because they're supposed to spread the word.
Supposed to.
But
I mean, part of the thing is to spread the word, spread the gospel, so you can come and be part of the fold.
Yeah.
No,
that's part of Christianity.
I've tried to help them out because there are, like, I kind of gauge it like this. Say, I don't even know if he's around anymore, but you remember Adam Pugh?
Yes.
If I went and visited him, I would go to church with him. I wouldn't mind it at all. I mean, I wouldn't be a Christian or anything like that, but I wouldn't.
Like if he asked you to go to church, you'd go with him.
Yeah, sure.
That's like the biggest mistake he ever make in his life.
Well, I mean, do you say that because if that's where we're going to spend time and that's where this person's going to be comfortable, then you would compromise to be in this person's company in his comfort zone? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not just to be in his comfort zone, but I mean, he seems like, I believe birds of the feather flock together, and he seems like a nice, reasonable person, and sure, I wouldn't mind going, but I wouldn't go to Christian Hillbillies Church. I don't know what would happen there. You know what I mean? And so,
Entertaining.
Oink like a pig. Oink like a
Just
pig.
to ruin it.
do what?
Just go to ruin it. That's like the whole idea.
Well, I wouldn't want. You kind of made me think the other day, Bunto, about this whole evangelizing thing, and probably the towards atheists, the most dangerous Christians, if you want to consider them dangerous. I really wouldn't, but as far as being able to convert somebody, they are the reasonable ones and the ones that are easy to talk to, and they're not wearing this persecution on their shoulder. You know, they're not being bastards towards people when they're out on the Google Plus.
Hey, Fizz, I want to tell you something. In your picture, you look like Lev Schreiber, the actor, from the nose up. That's all I can see.
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on.
You can look at his picture. I think it's Liev Schreiber. A little bit. No, not so much, but a
Oh,
little bit.
so that's Fizzbomb. I thought you were trolling for some reason. My mistake.
Do you see the similarity at all? A little bit.
I
I don't know who you're talking about, so yeah, I wouldn't.
Oh.
I couldn't make a comparison.
People tell me I look like Michael Jordan.
You don't look like Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
think so.
striking
Shut up.
similarity.
Shut up. I do so.
All right, well, that's my 2 cents. I've got to run. If the room is still open, I'll listen from the outside. I have to go
Thanks,
pick
Sean,
someone
for
up.
coming.
But
All right, Sean.
yeah, I think it can be a pretty interesting topic, and I've been thinking about
Okay.
it since Bunto had his little run.
Trying
the
to
other
get
day.
Christianity to work, right?
Well,
I mean,
dude, I think it's cool that you're willing to go to church with somebody and you're an atheist. Good for you, man.
Yeah, Pentecostals are the best ones to go to.
I bet it's a riot.
They're a little scary, but the music's good.
my
Yeah,
God.
very uplifting.
Hey, I
Yeah.
go to House of Blues, the gospel brunch. It's amazing.
For the free food, Eric.
It's not free. Don't kid yourself. It's not
Free
free
now.
at all. It's $40 for the spread.
Okay.
Okay, so like, Brojo, you want Christianity to work, right?
Do I want Christian? Oh man.
If it serves people, then yeah, I want it to work.
Yeah, if it serves people, yeah, I want it to work. I can't believe in it any longer, but I'd like to see it work. I'd like to see some more love in the world, some more forgiveness.
Michael Ann.
I'm
You
a-
know, if that's what they bring, if that's what's brought to the table, then hey. Hey, Joe, Michael Ann.
Hey kids,
How have you been?
no complaints here.
You know who I just talked to today was Faith. You know, she has to go to the doctor, so I was like alarmed. She didn't have time to tell me what was going on. But,
Is she coming in the room?
well, I don't think so. I think she said she was mobile and she just didn't have a stable connection.
Okay. Well, to the question to the atheists in the room. All right, you heard me. You heard me. You know, spout off the list, the fruit of the spirit. Do you need me to do it again or no?
Might as well. Recap.
Oh, wait a minute, I just lost my spot. It's Galatians.
Bunto, maybe she should go to the horse stable and have a mobile connection.
Okay.
That
saying.
Eric Silverman humor.
Galatians-
That
Right.
wit, right?
And
That was terrible.
Galatians 5.
What was it?
Fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. How many here on the? Can you name any here in the G plus community that would fit that description? Who would you say if you had to say who's a spirit-filled Christian?
Maximus, I think. I think that some of that is a reflection of Maximus. Self-control and
yeah,
list it again.
give it time and cave in, become one of us.
Love,
I don't think
joy,
so.
Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
You know what? I think there's probably a lot of people that are Christian that demonstrate that, but when they're in a debate, it probably is lost.
Well, I also think that debates don't. The debate community on G Plus does not really allow the Christians of that particular caliber to enter in and feel comfortable at all, too. And so the fact that there aren't that many in the G Plus community is probably anomalous. I mean, I would say it's certainly anomalous because I've known Christians that are wonderful.
As long as you don't question their faith.
Even that, yeah. I mean, look, if you go with the atheist Rain Man routine, if Big Bang Darwin, you're stupid. Well, then yeah, they get a little bit defensive. But if you just say, I cannot bring myself to believe, you know, you don't get condemnation back in general from those particular kinds. They might look at you with a little bit of pity and worry about your eternal future and all of that stuff based on their axiom of truth, but they don't beat you up.
I remember that.
Now, I don't know how many of you have gone to church or been a Christian or been around a certain amount of Christians. Would you say that most Christians are not biblically literate, so therefore they're not involved in this community, they're not involved in the debate because of their lack of knowledge of the Bible, but yet, you know, they feel they should express these characteristics, you know, whether they do it on their own strength or by the Spirit, as they might say. You think that's the case? It's a matter of biblical literacy?
I don't think there's a whole lot of Christians that align themselves with the, you know, that. Well, let me say this: the different churches emphasize different things about the Bible. Some emphasize the love aspect, some emphasize the judgment aspect, and all of that. So lots of different varieties. And you know, when you ask that question, you're assuming that the centerpiece of the Bible is, you know, based on the two commandments that Jesus said and fruits of the Spirit and like, and not all churches emphasize these particular aspects of the New Testament.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I'm getting a little echo. Bunto, is that you again?
Okay, I'll put on headphones.
Yes,
Let me see.
please.
Let me mute myself. Just say something.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah,
here.
it's better.
You.
It's better
Thank
immediately.
you. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, for sure. I would say I find that Christians will be drawn towards a church that kind of fits their personality.
Well,
You know?
or is it that they're? I think it depends geographically. Also, I think there's geographic considerations on what church you pick.
I think that also people that are geographically located in the context of a family that goes to Baptist churches will pick up Baptist ideology more likely. You know, that there's a certain, you know, churches as well as all cultures inherit the next generation and try to pass along the values. So there's that too. And I think Michael Ann brought up a good point. You know, at first you had said, are there spirit-filled atheists? I think that was the title of the room, too. Were you asking that question about atheists as well?
Yeah, because I was sharing that. You know, if I go through this list, I can definitely name a handful of atheists here on the G Plus community that I would find express these attributes. Like Lyrics. Lyrics is one of them.
You know what, though? Atheists don't have to aren't defending their position and justifying it. I think as much as people of faith are, because we see them as having the burden of proof. So it might be a little bit of the way that people are positioned within the argument.
Very true. I agree with Eric.
You know, they're the ones.
Hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, Eric's right.
Because I think in the end, I mean, don't we all want to have these attributes?
Mm-hmm.
All the way to the bank,
so.
baby.
I would hope so. That's my
Definitely.
hope for mankind.
But I've heard the argument. Listen, this is a brutal ideology that blinds children and causes all sorts of damage. And if I didn't stand up and act belligerent toward it, I'm not doing my job. You know, kind of.
Well, it made me grow hair on my palms, so
Yeah, hilarious.
that's a true story. I wouldn't lie.
You're too much.
It's so if if it does that, then I personally, sorry, Joe, I should not have done that. I'm sorry. Bad person. I'm an atheist.
Bad Jew.
Yeah. Oh, I got that, by the way. I had somebody else do that to me. In another thread, Nicole's thread. Nicole SD. He posted a video, and in the video I said, it's the guy from out west in Arizona. He's the Holocaust denier, and I said I think he's gay because I do. I think I said in the threat in the chat. I said it's not a judge of him. I just his mannerisms and his presentation. And this guy says, "Oh well, you're just a pathetic Jew." I was like, "Okay, thank you, I guess." And I don't. And that was a religious person. See, that's the thing I don't get. That's the part of what Brojo was talking about, is that if there's these standards of righteousness, how come it's so quick that they get thrown out the window?
I don't think they do. In other words, I think that the Baptists come up with there's so many things going on inside the context of a thing like a Bible or a Quran or Bhagavad Gita that you can have lots of different superficial profiles to justify whatever it is you're already emotionally inclined to do. And I think that's what happens. So you can get from the Westboro Baptist Church all the way up through some of the like Anglican and or Episcopalians that have even gay priests and lesbian priestesses. So I'm just saying that the bottom line is people sort of pick and choose and massage, but it always fits their existing emotional climate, I think.
So like birds of a feather stick together and opposites attract?
I don't know if it works like that. Yeah, I mean, whatever is, like if a person is brought up Episcopalian, they're going to be probably more pluralistic in their acceptance of different cultures than if they're brought up Baptist.
More tolerant.
Or yeah, tolerant. Yeah.
It's very interesting. It really is.
Now, in that same chapter in Galatians, chapter 5, there's a contrast that they express, and the list is quite quite long. It's the list of those who are walking in the flesh, all right, in contrast to the spirit, and here it goes. The works of the flesh are evident, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like. I mean, yeah, that's a long list.
It's wild.
Pretty good, man. Good list, bro.
But it's capped off with "and all liars."
All
We've all
liars.
fallen short. We've all fallen short.
Oh, hey, Lyrics. How you doing, man?
I'm here.
Good.
Would it be unfair of me, because I've thought about doing this when I'm walk into a room or there's a debate going on. Would it be unfair? I think I have at least one Christian in the room. Would it be unfair of me in the midst of this debate when they're, ask questions of a Christian? Would it be unfair of me to ask them, "Are you filled with the Spirit today?" I mean, I asked that of Hillbilly just the other day, and he tells me, "Well, I always have the Holy Spirit," which
It's
kind of
all
took
fantasy.
me back a little bit.
I,
You
I think
know
it's a kind of I think it's probably would be taken the wrong way.
how?
Well, because I think if I understand the question correctly, I think first of all that it sort of is something that it's like asking a gun owner if they're responsible with their gun.
Well,
Yeah, it's
it's
like a
like this.
given.
Okay, I mean, listen, I was a Christian for many years, so maybe let me kind of express where I'm going with this. See, usually when you become a Christian, a born again Christian, right, you get a filling of the Spirit. You're supposed to get the Holy Spirit. This is what gives makes you a new creation. Okay, but then there are others that believe that there is a kind of a responsibility of the believer to
Exhibit Christ-like behavior.
well, no, consistently be filled with the Spirit. And usually this is attained by prayer and worship and reading and this kind of thing, that you get filled and overflowing, where then these attributes, among other things, supposed to, follow the belief. But
You know,
then
Brojo,
you're
what I
to
sort of hear
follow.
you saying is you're asking them if they're mindful of the Holy Spirit
There you
at a
go.
given time.
There you go.
Okay,
You
you
can
want
ex-
Christians to play by the rules, right, Brojo?
well, I mean, if you practice what you preach, simple as that to me. Is there something wrong with expecting that?
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, it's Christianity. It's just what anything goes, man. I think I'm pretty liberal, my theology, as far as what I observe in Christianity.
If you come out professing to be Christian and all you are is full of contentions and anger,
All the way to the bank,
why,
man.
why would I want to join that? It's pretty much you're saying you got to be on my side so you can be like me. And I'm like, what? Really? I mean,
It's a very good point.
they're not saying that in so many words, but you're evangelizing me, but you're expressing all these negative qualities that are in Scripture, say are really just the flesh, and you, what, so I could become like you? Why would I want to do that?
Well, I mean, just experience shows that, I don't think Christianity is going to go away. It could have, like, God hates fags as the leader of the church. I mean, it sells, man. I mean, there's a big tradition there as far as us versus them. You know, it goes outside of the Bible. It transcends the Bible. Anything it says in there. It's more important to be a Christian than to know the Bible.
That is really interesting
How so?
because it's almost more important to protect the belief and protect the group that you're within or the tribe than it is to be for the tribe to be righteous.
For the rule book, there's
It's like in the United States, we say the United States best country in the world. We're the most this, we're the most that. But then when we go and bomb a country, we don't really reconcile that accurately because we're busy protecting. So we don't learn from our mistakes. We don't accept. It's about there's a level of or there's a certain aspect lacking accountability and responsibility for what we produce when we're protecting what we're a part of. Does that make sense?
It does. It brings up an interesting point. How many people do you come across? They're very hardcore, like nationalists, and that it's like America can do no wrong.
I grew up with that with Zionism. Oh, those Arabs, they smell. They slit our throats. When we capture them, we treat them humanely. We feed them well. It's like, wait a second. When I became old enough to think for myself and I remembered those things, I was like, wait a second. Palestinians weren't tortured. Palestinians weren't brutalized. And I see it now even as an example what happened with Gaza in the last war, where over 1,000 people were killed, and there's Zionists online saying, well, they tried to bomb us. Well, it's not a balanced thing, and you're making excuses to justify your superiority. There's a real contradiction and an irony in that I really find vulgar, and I think it's probably human nature.
And you have a whole class of Christians who, the same thing, they'll stand behind Israel no matter what. Because it's apparently
Holy Land.
God's country. Yeah, it's the Holy Land. This is where, Jesus is born. This is where he died and rose. This is where he's coming back. The temple's going to be rebuilt, and this is the place. So we need to protect the place no matter what. We need to stand up for Israel no matter what.
So yeah, I don't think it's just Christianity. I think it's a group mentality, or an orientation towards being part of something bigger and protecting the backstop that we rely on for our identity.
It's kind of funny. You thought of Israel, Eric, and I thought of Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady is going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he deflated the footballs,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, guys, so you cheated, right? But it's not going to matter.
It's like Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
I was thinking
He won't go
just
to the
thinking
Hall of
about
Fame,
that
though.
too. Yeah.
He won't go to the Hall of Fame, though.
But he was like one of the greatest hitters of all time in baseball, without a fact.
Yeah.
But he can't go because he broke the rules. It's amazing. Maybe when they're going to wait till he's dead and then they'll put him in the Hall of Fame.
No, he'll never go in the Hall of Fame.
Himself.
Probably.
He'll never go in because he was betting when he was playing. He came out just a couple weeks ago.
But you think about it, it's still like, well, he's still the greatest. You know what I mean?
Well,
One of the
what
greatest
about
hitters of all
Bill
time.
Cosby? How about Bill Cosby?
Well, okay,
going,
Bill Cosby.
going to jail for a lifetime for an ounce of weed.
Right, honey. But okay, don't you think Bill Cosby should go to jail? At this point, I think this guy has to serve some time, man.
Well, I just actually heard today that he agreed in affidavits in the past
That he did this.
that he brought Quaaludes, but and he did use them. However, it was all consensual. So
No,
who
he didn't.
knows?
They just didn't know about it.
Okay, but what do you think of this, Michael? Michael, really right. Okay, Michael.
They consented to the drink, right? But not to what was in it.
Okay, Michael, what do you think of a guy who admits to raping over 40 women and not going to jail?
Well, that's not possible. He's got to go to court. They're going to take him to court. It'll all pan out. It'll be
But
fair
don't you think?
enough.
I was thinking about, he's going to have some more financial obligation, but I was thinking he should go to jail.
Well, wouldn't you?
Easily.
You would need the women to come up and say that he actually raped them. Just,
Did
know.
some of this
Money,
stuff
money.
pass the legal limit of time?
Yeah, the statutes.
Yeah, but this is the other thing is now he's going after some of the women that he had settlements with, financial settlements with, because they disclosed the events, and that violates the confidentiality agreement.
Well, he's got every right to do it, but his ass should be in jail, right
He
next
should have to go
to
to jail.
our buddy OJ.
Yeah, right. Cinnamon, Sandusky, OJ, and Bill Cosby.
There you go.
Michael Ann, any thoughts on the topic at hand?
No, I've been listening quietly because I pretty much agree. It was well stated in the beginning. It's tough to find people like that. I don't care whether you're an atheist or you're a Christian. Everybody strives to be better. Religion is just, it's like a hair color.
You know what,
Religion is
Michael?
for people that need it. Most people understand it's simple. Be nice to others, enjoy your God of your choosing, and have the best time you can while you're here.
You know what? I think it's important to have a standard and understand that people are or an ideal, and if people don't meet the ideal, that's okay. But it's important to at least know what the ideals are or the objectives are and how we handle ourselves in relation to the world around us, the impact that we have.
That should come with your parents. That's what growing up in a family is. That's what moving around in society does for you. It hones that skill.
But often people will say, well, where did that come from? And they keep wanting to go back to the Bible. And if you don't believe the Bible, then you're sort of disqualified somehow for some reason. And I think what you're saying is probably very true. I think part of it comes from economics, that we have to collaborate and cooperate in order to, as communities, to have our needs met as far as goods and services. And I think that those are behaviors that permeate through societies and cultures.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this, Michael. Okay, are you liking Donald Trump or not?
What's this got to do with
Donald's a
spirit?
joke. His,
Okay,
his,
yeah, but
Oh my God.
his whole deal is to just be a weapon of mass destruction. There isn't a
But-
person on the planet thinks Donald Trump's an actual candidate.
he
There's
has
only
no
two.
social skills.
We're only allowed to pick two. They've already picked the two. The question is, which one of the two will you pick? And then we got to
Okay.
find someone to count all those things that people picked. Hey, Bob.
How's it going?
Who's the better
Okay,
clown?
the guy says that McCain's not a war hero. I mean, did that resonate with any of you guys? Like, wow, the balls to say
He's
that.
a Death Star. He's a Darth Vader. He just
But
likes
he has like no
killing.
social skills.
You know, every time his ass has been in Syria, Iran, Ukraine. He shows up when all the shit starts. I wonder what that's about.
Bunto, do you have ADD?
Do I have ADD? I can't afford it.
Punto is ADD.
So am I, guys. So am I.
Poster child, huh?
But I mean, the guy he's skyrocketing the polls, man, because he's a sociopath.
He's
It
a
don't
weapon
matter.
of mass distraction. He is of no use and purpose. They need to keep the heat off of Hillary. We can't be talking about Benghazi. Listen, he's tried to run before. He's a joke. Nobody's going to get him into the presidency. You're out of your mind.
Excuse me, was he not correct?
It's just something to make the masses talk about something other than what really needs to be spoken about.
Was he not correct in his evaluation of what went on in San Francisco with the illegal alien killing the innocent tourist? In my book, he was correct.
I don't watch TV. I don't watch the
either.
scripted events that they like.
You don't
to
watch
put
that?
there.
Well,
I
an
don't
illegal-
see that crap anymore.
An illegal alien killed an American tourist there, you know, and the guy's been kicked out of the country 9 times, and he got the gun from one of our DEA agents. I mean, it's
Donald
a joke.
Rumsfeld lost $9 trillion. Any chance you want to talk about that, or do we got to talk about the distractions that the media wants us talking about?
Well, I kind of want to get back on topic, Bunto.
Well, you were talking about sociopaths. I mean, you were thinking, you know, like Michael had brought up that's a thing that you have to be taught at
And
the
your
home,
mic sounds like
parents.
crap. What the hell are you scratching?
does?
again?
Why do you?
Yeah, it's scratchy.
Why do you think that Trump is a sociopath?
Well, he is. I mean, everything that comes out of his mouth is so anti.
They all are if they're
political
seeking power.
Well,
it so scratchy?
my point is that how could he be any more
William,
of a sociopath
when
than
did you
the
get
asshole?
here?
Oh, I just sneak in sometimes. Yeah, he can't be any more sociopathic than the assholes that are already there. I mean, he just hides it not as well.
Required to be one if you want to run for anything.
That's true. I agree.
All right. William, have you heard any of the earlier conversation? How I started this hangout at all?
No, I heard the last maybe 15 minutes before I joined.
Okay.
I was taking
Any
care of
thoughts?
some business.
Oh, have you heard thoughts on the topic at hand?
No, hit me with it again.
Well, you know, I named the room Spirit-Filled Atheists. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know that. I thought you were being funny.
I guess I am. I'm trying to be a little provocative, you know.
Because that would be
That's what people are attracted to, right? You know, silly name on the hangout. Oh, what the hell is this all about? You know,
Can't we just let Nadia be the monopolizer of strange titles? Can't we just let Nadia do the?
I guess my next hangout will be demon possessed Christians. Okay, we could.
There you go. That's yeah.
And then you have to throw in something like gives me HIV. So you gotta have.
Oh my God. Oh my
But
God.
anyway, but William, in Galatians chapter 5, right? You know, it says that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, right? And I dare say that I can definitely find atheists here that express these attributes,
Me.
right? And it seems like a lot of half the Christians here don't express these things. They're expressing a lot of what's called the works of the flesh. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not expect anybody to be 100%, perfect. None of us are. We have our faults. But it's one thing to have that, but then yet to be aware of your shortcomings, and then if your shortcomings does affect someone else, that you would express some kind of sorrow, be apologetic, that
But
kind
that
of
makes
thing, and
sense.
that tells more of their character. But do you think? I mean, there are
Well,
atheists that express fruits of the spirit.
well, yeah, the fruits of the spirit don't just belong to Christians. Okay, I mean, they are supposed to develop in the Christian, but when you understand that the Christian church is a hospital for sinners, for broken people, these people aren't coming to Christianity because they think they're better than other people. They come to Christianity because they know they're all fucked up. All right, they're coming in there and they definitely know that they've got problems, and they feel
Well,
like the answer. Wait a minute now. They feel like the answer are the things that they find in the gift of the Spirit. But these things, although they can be given by the Spirit, doesn't mean that you don't have access to them in your natural state. We all, even though we're made of flesh, we all have the programming to be sensitive, to be empathetic, to be generous and kind and full of love. These things don't just belong to Christians. And if any Christian tells you that that's the case, then they're Roy Montero.
I would
It's
say a
really,
lot of Christians would disagree with you, William. I'm saying, but they'll say, like, how could you say that, William? The Holy Christians are the ones who have the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I didn't say
I
that.
know, but I'm just, that's
I,
what they say.
the Holy Spirit can bring these things to people who don't naturally have them. And that's the point. These people go in there. Like, I was not a very compassionate person when I felt pushed into Christianity, led to Christianity, if you will. I was not a very compassionate person. I mean, I was sociopathic, I guess, in every regard except for when it came to dealing with my family. I really didn't give a shit if it didn't affect me directly. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
then once I began to worship and seek, then I started to go, you know what? Everybody belongs to my God. And they are his property. They're not my place to harass or bother or take advantage of in any way. These are precious to my king. So therefore, they must be precious to me as well if I'm to honor him.
Okay.
But that
I have
realization doesn't come to me in any other way. Is all I'm saying, Brojo. That's why I feel like it's a gift of the Spirit.
That's my dog drinking in your honor.
But you're probably right, Brojo. I probably will catch some shit about this because there are a lot of people that want to feel that Christians are not this broken class of people. But really, that's why they're there to ask for forgiveness because they recognize that they're damaged goods.
If a church is a hospital, shouldn't the goal be to get them out of there, not to keep them there, not even to make it grow so much?
Yeah, but not everybody can step out of. I mean, it says so in the Bible. You know, you start out with the milk of the word, and then you get to the point where you can chew the meat. At what point does the teacher maintain a superiority in knowledge to the student if the student is operating off the same instruction manual? You know, I have the same access to the scriptures as any other person does. So, you know, a pastor is just someone that gets you started. He gives you the bottle with the milk in it, and then after that, when you're able to understand prophecy and can read scripture and kind of, you may find yourself in stark disagreement with what the pastor told you, and that's fine. And in those cases, you leave the church and continue your journey without that guidance. I mean, at least that's my story.
that's it doesn't. I don't think that's how it plays out. In the sense that if there's it's I'm jaded about that. I probably and I shouldn't say anything.
No, Eric, you gotta. I think I know where you're going with that, and not everybody does mature in the church, and for those people, the church is a safe place. They go there to recharge. They're not strong in their beliefs. They don't have a strong understanding, so they need to be reassured and reaffirmed. And
Oh, sorry.
no, that's enough.
Where I was going is that the church needs customers. Otherwise, there's no church. So
That's unfortunate, but that's also true. That the way things are going now, there is a lot of it's money based and a lot of, and I have a problem with that myself.
And by the way, hospitals need patients, so hospitals need sick people too.
Well,
So
I mean, I don't think you'd have too many doctors that were complaining if everybody was healthy. They would just paint.
We would probably not have many doctors then.
I mean, from time to time, you're still going to need them, so you're not going to let anything happen to those key players, on your chessboard. You're
The
going to,
retail aspect of just about everything.
Yeah, that's very true.
Now, William, I don't know if you find in your church, but I found a lot in some of the churches I went to that the church became more of just a social outlet.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
They're not there so much for the Bible. Some of these people, yeah, they're hurt, they're lonely, and they come to a place where they kind of feel accepted for at least an hour on Sunday,
Yeah.
and it kind of becomes a codependent relationship.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, and I can't argue with that either. I don't want to. It's live, so I don't want to call any names, but there's several members of the G plus community that most people see as really hardline fundamentalists, and they do need that. They definitely do. They're not ready to question anything at all. They're not ready to. They feel vulnerable about their beliefs, so they need to go back and they need to be surrounded with people who will make them feel secure, like they're doing the right thing again. On their own, they don't feel capable, so they do get a bit dependent on that little circle of friends. And it's their right to do that. I support them gathering and doing that. What I have a problem with is them just whatever the preacher says is gospel and never opening the book. Because if they open the book, they're going to find out that most of what they're teaching is very subjective, to whatever the pastor is interested in. And that's unfortunate because it takes the prerogative away from them to interpret it themselves.
Yeah, and you have this problem in politics as well, right? I mean, anyone that gets up there on the podium is charismatic.
It's a religion too.
Yeah, and they just eat up every word that's said as gospel truth.
Yeah, my friend, that's statism, and that is pretty much a religion, no matter how you slice it. When you actually think that these rituals that you do give you some sort of say over a body that seeks to govern you, to rule you, then you're really not understanding what rule means. It's the illusion of choice that makes you ready to play along because you think it's going to be your time soon. It ain't never going to be your time. That's just to keep you thinking that you've got to say, keep you paying that money. Like what we were talking about with churches. It's the same thing. It's a religion.
It's even the same model as or almost the same rules as religious participation.
Yes, sir.
You have to follow I mean this more in a sense of partisanship, that you have to follow the whole if you don't abide by the complete platform, you are seen as less than authentic.
Try not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem or whatever and watch the religious people, the statists, attack you for not showing respect.
Oh, I've never seen that, so.
Oh, yeah, you get spit on real fast because my kids, I never allowed them to say the pledge in school, when they went to public school for that brief time that I felt like that was a good idea. I didn't want them to pledge allegiance or any of that stuff. And, they caught a lot of crap. I got notes and letters home from the teachers and things like that, and I told them to mind their own damn business. It's an indoctrination that starts right there. And by the time you get to the point where you're going to the ball game and they're singing the national anthem, if you're that guy that's like, yeah, I don't believe in all this, somebody believes it's okay to spit on the top of your head for not standing up and putting your hand over your heart and going through this ritual with everyone else.
Okay, what place is it? Just curious. The South?
He's out west, I think.
Where am I? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
No, I'm in the South. I'm in the Carolinas.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, I've traveled too, and you can find this in Ohio. I know that you can find it in Ohio. You can find it in Florida. You can find it in lots of places, just wherever, especially the sports crowd they're patriotic and they don't know why. I mean, they just do what they do because it's the beginning of every game. They have no idea that they're pledging allegiance to a fiction.
Welcome, Xbox.
Hey, you guys. How's it going?
Going okay.
You sound good today, Xbox.
Yeah, I'm up and around and awake.
Sounded strong, man. Sounded strong. But you don't look as good as Bunto, though. See, Bunto put on his Jackie Sloan headband, so he is straight up gangster right now.
Oh, right.
Is that
It's more than philosophy hangouts, Xbox.
Do what?
those philosophy hangouts.
Oh yeah, most of the time I have that wasn't my hangout. We just went to. Most of the time I have them off air so I don't bore people.
I think
Okay.
Xbox is spirit-filled a good portion of the time.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Well, he's filled with something. He's definitely filled with something.
I just don't go into the woo spiritual, right? Like,
So, like, there's lots of viewership for those philosophy hangouts.
Yeah,
Lots of views.
for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Mental
Wow.
masturbation, man.
I want to say something to Eric real quick.
Go
Eric,
for it.
the last two conversations in a hangout I've had with you have been very pleasant, and I appreciate that. I want to thank you for that.
Okay.
What's wrong,
You're
Eric?
welcome.
Oh, good. For a second, I thought I was going to get a complaint. You know, I'm so used to hearing people complaining, and it's good to hear that. You know.
They're complaining about me.
Look.
If they're not, then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, there's a whole blog about that, but we're not supposed to tell you.
That's okay.
It's a
I
big
already
joke.
know.
We're not,
I already know.
don't worry, there's about 5 or 6 on me, so you really have a lot of catching up to do.
Damn. That's it? Just 5 or 6?
Oh. Yeah, so far. Give it a week.
So far.
Xbox.
Well, I guess the follow-up to X.
I was going to ask
Roger.
Xbox any comments on the topic at hand.
Oh no, I just maybe 5 minutes before I ask you for the link. That's all I caught.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
The follow-up to Xbox would be, okay, Xbox, so you work on being friendly to people, gentle, meek and mild.
I don't. I think that's just my personality. I get it from my mom, so I don't. I think
Good
it's
upbringing.
Look, okay, somebody comes in your hangout, you know, and you're talking what was it, the euphonium argument or something like that. I don't know what you guys are talking.
I don't
when
even
came in.
remember either.
And then, you know, you and
the
Shamos,
Youth
the pro. Yeah, that's right. And then, you know, the first thing out of my mouth is, you know, all philosophy sucks. I mean, you start getting angry about that.
I'm sorry, Bunto,
Well,
but your mic sounds like
you can be
crap.
very you can be
It
very
sounds like-
provocative, but tough.
I was frustrated with Seamus at the time when you came in there.
Yeah. I was just curious if it's like, you know, there's certain things that spike a nerve, you know, and you cease being friendly.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I go off sometimes. It's rare, but I go off sometimes.
X, was your mother a religious person?
Yeah, yeah, and she's still around. She's actually kind of moved away from it in the last few years.
Okay, and has it changed? You know, all the good qualities that you say you got from your mom. She still expresses these.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was no real personality change when she left the belief.
No, not at all. She's still the same person. And I don't know that, just besides me thinking clearer now that I've learned like critical thinking skills and skepticism, things like that, how to use them and not end up in conspiracy theories, right? Like, learn when to doubt, kind of thing, and when not to doubt. Learn all that. I don't know that I've changed too awful much.
Has she improved in any aspects?
Yeah. To me, she has. She's the same thing. She weighs the situations out different instead of just jumping to quick and easy answers. She has a little more self-control now.
Wow. You know, that's one of the fruits of the spirit. So
called growing older, maturing.
Yeah, sure.
Have y'all seen Joseph today? Hold My Unicorn?
No, I haven't.
How's he doing?
I was hoping that he would. I talked to him for a minute this morning. I was just telling him what happened to his segment on Nadia's Hangout. It got totally cut. He was kicking some ass. Oh my God! It was a couple days ago. He was it was an 8-hour hangout, and Erica was running Nadia's room, and it was about 2 hours of sheep shearing, and then Joseph came in there and
sheep shearing.
yeah, that's what I call it when I'm doing my thing.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, Joseph busted in there and just blew the roof off, and Erica was just left stuttering. And I went back to listen because, like, I mean, he came off with such a rush of stuff it just blew my mind. I went back to check, and 4 hours of broadcast is just cut off of there. She trimmed it because it kind
Was
of
it
went
that new
against.
strand of smoke that he's been trying out?
Yeah, I guess so. It's called Liberty. He's all about that now, and
Liberty weed.
yeah, as soon as Erica started talking that Marxist communism shit, man, he just busted out of right field and just, I mean, it was crazy. Like, 'cause he was in there, but he was just being quiet, and I'd stepped away from the computer for a second, and I heard him in the background. I was like, oh crap, what's he saying? Because he was going off, and man, everybody in the room was just kind of like silent when he was done. That was a mic drop moment if I've ever heard it.
Well, you know what happens sometimes when the thing just goes up. There's only like 4 hours, and then if you wait like a couple more hours, then they put the whole thing up. You know.
Well, that I would buy that, but see, it's cut out, and then the last part of the hangout that I
Oh,
was.
so they actually took time to edit it. Okay.
Yeah, they edited the entire part. All the sheep shearing got edited right out. All that.
I mean,
stuff
what
that
is the
made-
point to that? I don't know.
Because it's the communist room. If you have arguments that destroy communism and Marxism, you can't leave it in there for the archive.
But I mean, it did such a good job doing that to itself. That's what I tell them.
Well, I mean,
Destroy-
yeah, but you can't see them break down to the point where they're about to cry because they
Yeah,
can't
but
follow the
you're
argument.
really,
and
William.
that's what
But aren't
Joseph-
you assuming something about these individuals without knowing them? I mean, it's
Are you talking about Nadia and Erica? As though
anybody that when something happens and we don't know the cause, or if it actually happened, and we assign so much to that event without knowing.
Are you asking me? Is it speculative?
Yes.
Yes, it is speculative,
Okay.
but it's quite suspect in where it's cut and how long it's cut and where it comes back in. It's very suspect. If you look at it, you go, oh, okay, that's
Okay, just one thing that crosses my mind. This Erica character, who I've never seen because I got kicked out months ago, does she have any star power? I mean, can she carry it by her own show?
Well,
Wait
no.
a minute. Wait, I'm going to stop right here. Really. Because we're going on a drama tangent. That's what
I wanted to give props out to Joseph and see if anybody heard from him because, like, I told him this morning and he was like, "Wow." He looked back.
I'm all
and
for
said,
props.
Wow.
Okay, I'm all for props.
So
right.
I give him. I mean, he's awake now, and they could not bury him in that bullshit. He just busted right through it. I was proud. No, Bunto left.
Oh, he said he had a reboot. Okay, I thought he was rage quitting because he always likes to take things on a tangent. I'm like, that's not what this hangout's about.
I think he said he had to reboot.
Yeah.
Google Plus has been weird all afternoon. I've been having issues myself. Everything keeps freezing.
Yeah, I've been having. I don't know if it's just my computer or if it's Google issues, but
that's what I'm saying.
I've been having
Google
issues too,
eats up a ton of resources. Especially if you're using Chrome.
Oh.
I've been having issues too, but it has nothing to do with Google Plus.
Oh, we all know that, Darren.
Why never rule out operating mode?
Hey, William, can you name some, would you? I mean, you don't have to name them. I mean, you'd be giving props to them. Or maybe, okay, Joe. Would you say Joe's a spirit-filled atheist, for lack of a better term? Could you name him?
Could I not come up with a different term? Are we just sticking to...
Yeah.
What, the spirit of what?
Recognizing
spirit of God,
recognizing
spirit of other
consideration or mindfulness.
I don't know. I think that he's animated with. He's a high-spirited individual when he's passionate about something. I can say that he has a passionate spirit about things like this. He does recognize good and freedom, and he is filled with a passion for that freedom. If that's spirit-filled, then okay.
All right.
I don't know how to describe it other than that. If we're talking about the Holy Spirit, I would not say that. He's probably a nice, generous guy, but I don't know what he's like. I mean, you guys don't know what I'm like either. I could be a horrible monster for all you know. You only talk to me on here. I could have bodies in the basement. So you can't say that I'm spirit filled either. You don't know.
You turn into the Hulk.
Yeah, that happened in puberty.
Okay, we're live. You care to give your address so we can, at least return these bodies and, maybe have a proper burial?
We are live, aren't we? When I said body, I meant mannequin. Yeah. Papa, don't. Sorry.
It was metaphorical.
Yeah, there's metaphorical bodies in my crawl space.
Okay, there you go.
Like skeletons in the closet, but smellier.
Is that your tribe's headdress and outfit, William?
It's similar as the Muskogee. Sorry.
Okie from Muskogee.
They were just talking about the Navajo Nation.
I'll show you the creek.
They have the most people who still speak a native language is in the Navajo tribe. I forget. I think they're trying to pass some kind of a law about their language. Because wasn't it also used in World War II? They had to decode stuff and they used their language.
Oh, yeah, the ghost whisperers, or the ghost whisperers, the Indian whisperer stuff.
Wind talkers.
Wind talkers, yeah.
There you go.
Saka?
Here you go. Here's a,
I only jumped in to say wind talkers, and it just kind of worked with where the conversation was. So
Oh my God, that's such a coincidence.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
there you go, Michael Ann. That's what the Creek Indians look like right there.
There you go.
That's their.
Hey, Michael Ann, I have a niece named Michael Ann.
Nice. Is it 2 words?
Yeah. It's 2 words, but it's Mikel.
Ah, that's cheating.
I know. And by the way, the name was my idea.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of my friends, as we were growing up, every one of them said to me if they had a girl, they were going to name her Michael Ann, and not one of them did.
Well, my brother did.
There you go.
Yeah, my grandmother was Ann, and my former sister-in-law's grandmother, I think it was Mincha, like Mincha. It was Yiddish.
There you go.
Michael Ann, when you asked your parents, why did you name me Michael? What did they say?
Well, it was
Michael Jordan. It was Michael Jordan.
No, my mother wanted me to have her initials, but she didn't like her name. She was the oldest of 3 girls. Her father nicknamed her Mike. Her name is Muriel, which I thought was a fabulous name, but, you know, Muriel's a tough name for a little kid. But in any event, so she thought of the name Michael Ann, and there was a nun who was running the delivery room. Her name was Mother Michael, and my mother said, my father-in-law's giving me a hard time. I want to name this little girl Michael Ann. And she said, you want to name that baby Michael? You go right ahead and do it. And so he gave my mother the seal of approval. That was all she needed after that. And I was named after a tugboat also, which is my family's business. So my mother's initials, a nun and a tugboat.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing they didn't name you Malva, like in Seinfeld.
Well, most people think my parents wanted a boy, and I'm actually the only girl. And I have 3 brothers, Helen, Susan, and Mary.
Hilarious.
That's really funny. That was good.
You know, it's funny because when people either read my license plate or my license or my ID, they cannot bring themselves to call me Michael. They read it, they know it's Michael, but they just can't do it. So then they just opt out to Michelle. And then I recorrect them and I say, no, it's Michael. And they get like a furrowed brow for about a second. And I tell them, well, I've had an operation. That it's all good. They have no problems, no issues. They're not checking. It's all good. But the other way,
they have issues. Don't worry about that.
They just couldn't make the leap.
How about Mikhail?
Well, I have an Irish cousin. Obviously, she's Irish. She's a cousin, and she's Michaela, which is what she would be in.
Michaela.
And then I have Italian friends who are Migueline. But you can also be a Micheline in Irish too. But Migueline or Miguelina, which would be a female Michael. Miguelina. That's Italian.
Interesting. Hi, Dee.
Hello.
Oh, hey,
How are you doing?
I'm alright, thank you. Yourself?
Oh, shut up, Dee.
Pretty good.
Screw you, Xbox.
I've been talking
that was Saka, yeah.
No, really. No, you just...
Ozzy's been doing that all week, too. He's
That
been
makes
calling
it
him
really
Xbox and
right.
me Saka.
You're like interchangeable people, really.
Socksbox.
Socksbox.
call us Socksbox, and one of us will choose the response.
We're X count.
That's stupid. I'm joking. Shut up, Eric.
I hear that a lot too. I don't know why, but it's strange. Yeah.
It's always their fault, right?
Oh,
Always.
you're telling me.
Every year.
Now, I would say D also would express fruits of the spirit, quote unquote.
Well, Dee used to be a nihilist, and now that she's not, she's become a denihilist. It's true. It's true. What? It's true. Don't laugh at me. Shut up.
That's a good one.
Jerk.
I like that.
Well, yeah. Have we already been through the definition of spiritual?
Is that actually, I was kind of curious about the topic. That's why I jumped in. But
Okay.
I mean, like most Google Hangouts, you jump in and be like, "Oh, cool, not on topic."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was okay. For those who are joining us late, in the Bible, in Galatians chapter 5, it expresses that the fruit of the Spirit, which Christians are supposed to express these attributes of the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, and it says that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
I sometimes have some of those qualities, yes. Not all the time,
it's interesting because there's a difference between being spiritual and having the Spirit. This idea, though, of having the Spirit from Christianity is, I think that when someone talks about having the Spirit of God, I don't think that even in the Bible they're implying essentially or necessarily that there is a spirit living inside you. I think it's merely a reflection of the attitude that encompasses what the Spirit of God might be like. It talks about how when you walk in the Spirit, that you're trying to emulate these very positive virtues that they believe God holds. In which case, that's what it means to be in the Spirit or have the Spirit with you.
Yeah,
I don't think it actually means.
vengefulness.
Yeah, I don't think it actually means to be like have a fucking poltergeist inside of you. Some aspect of the Spirit's there. Okay, sorry, go on.
No, okay, yeah, and William kind of expressed that earlier, and you'll probably, as a Christian, I'm sure he'll find many Christians that'll disagree with him. And he pretty much expressed that same sentiment that these things can be found in any belief. Why is it seen that Christians, think it's exclusive for them, or that unless you have God, you can't have these attributes?
What it really annoys me with the idea of spirit is when they do try to make it like a third party to them, that you have some spirit living inside you. Like, me and Xbox had as well as Drag and a few others had a conversation with Ken Jones last night, and one of the things that he always came back to was this idea that his interpretation of scripture or his feelings or his revelations were more true because he had the spirit living inside of him, as if the spirit was some type of mystical decoder ring that gave him access to the secrets of the universe. And that's how a lot of Christians try to play it off when they talk about the spirit. But I don't even think that that's what the Bible even entails when it talks about the spirit.
Well, the reason they had that verse, excuse me to interrupt, Bro Joe, is because they had this, people going church to church in early churches, right, and going against what church doctrine was, so that's when they stuck that verse in. That you can measure a true Christian by their spirit.
You've gone very robotic there, Bunter, unless it's just me.
Am I hearing worse? Is the mic getting worse?
Yes.
Yeah, your mic sucks, man.
I'm not in the spirit here, so I might have to quit soon. But anyway, what I was trying to say, was that I think that verse was stuck in by design to prevent this, people outside of doctrine messing it all up in Galatians.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Well taken. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Paul was writing to, the Church of Galatia and as well as other churches, trying to warn them against, the wolves in sheep clothing and people who come in and try to bring other beliefs into the church. But now I hear what
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
saying.
it's like this. But you know them by the fruits of their spirit. You know, when they talk about stuff like that, they're not again. Or when they judge the spirit. Um, you're not judging again an external agency. What you're doing is you're judging the attitudes of that person to see whether or not they're emulating what the scripture says. You know, someone who's living in the spirit, the personality that they'd have. It's not some third party to you, and I don't understand why they keep saying this because. This goes back to conversations I've had with G-Man or Ken Jones, whatever, before in the past, where they throw this caveat in when they describe what a Christian is: someone who's born again, not in the flesh but of the spirit, someone that has the spirit within. These little criteria there, and my response always to that is, okay, great, then there's no such thing as a Christian. You're not a Christian. I mean, essentially, in order for you to, even now that you've put the requirements of what you think a Christian is, the only way that you can convince me that there are such a thing as Christians would first off be to prove that God exists and that He did live within you. That's how you're understanding what it means to be, with the Spirit. But I don't think that's what it means. And also, I wouldn't actually put that caveat on somebody to prove that in order for them to label themselves as a Christian. But they do, and they don't realize how ridiculous of a position that is.
I'm not following what you just said. Can you explain that? Like,
Well,
what's the actual
if they're saying to be a Christian, you have to have the Spirit in you. Well, from our point of view, there's no demonstration of a spirit actually existing, so no Christians exist.
It's words, man. It's a social. It's a language change. It's a cultural aspect that reminds the other. What happens when a Christian says that they see another person with the Spirit? What sort of feelings do I get off of that? It's kind of like a social acceptance thing. I mean, if I say these specific words and I betray the specific attitude, then I'm accepted amongst the group.
Is it that they're accepted?
What they do?
Wait a second, Asaka. Is it that they're accepted, or is it that they are authoritative to non-Christians that they can so that they can feel justified in their judgment of non-Christians?
It's that one right there. And see, this is why they try to do. They switch it up to the this idea of an external spirit living within them instead of emulating the spirit. Because if you can judge somebody by the spirit, if you can. What Brojo laid out there, which was absolutely brilliant when he was talking about the spirit, where he's talking about passion, kindness. I can't remember all the ones that Brojo laid out there a few minutes ago, but when they describe what somebody who is living, with the spirituality, that's great. Because what they're saying then at that point in time is that somebody that's with the spirit is emulating these behaviors, compared to somebody who says
There's a real loud wind noise.
I was going to say somebody in a wind tunnel.
Sorry, I'm outside. Here, let me just go back in for a second to finish my point. So when you say that somebody that has the spirit is emulating these behaviors, that it means to be, to have the spirit means to act in such a way, then yeah, you're right. You judge them by their fruits. You judge them by the actions that they're doing. Somebody that is not living within the virtues that Brojo laid out there would not have the spirit. But they go beyond that. They don't judge those virtues there. What they say is they place an external agent on them that allows them to bypass the actions. That they can be rude, they can be obnoxious, they can be condescending, they can be assholes, but it doesn't matter because the spirit is within them. So
they're mixing up.
That'll explain a lot, because the only Christians, and I admit it's a very small demographic, and it's American Christians I've spoken to on YouTube, when they've talked about this, they've sounded anything but the nouns that were placed upon this, and they've sounded really self-righteous and I'm special, I'm something different because I've got this.
Let me say look at it is if you look at like this. The spirit of the law, right? Like, do people walk around saying I have the spirit of the law and actually mean they have some poltergeist living in them about the law? No. So the spirit of God would be the spirit of His Word. I'm taking the spirit of what the text mean to heart.
Yeah.
But I don't think we see that too often.
Now, in that same chapter, before it speaks of the fruit of the spirit, it talks about the contrast of the flesh, one who walks, in the flesh. And to refresh your memory, and those who came in late, it says, works of the flesh are evident, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies. God, I'm getting out of breath here. Envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like. Okay, and um, after it lists the fruit of the Spirit, there's the caveat that it says that those who are Christ have crucified the flesh, crucified those things that I just listed, with its passions and desire. And it goes on to say in 25, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. So there is this supposed to be a connection to being crucified with Christ, crucifying these things with Christ, and walking in the Spirit. These are supposed to be the the evidence to the world that you are a Christian.
Well, what it comes down to is the idea that you give yourself to earthly things, that and this builds up the framework for this misconception that a lot of Christians have, that without the presence of a God, that people can't be these virtues, that can't express these virtuous behaviors that they've laid out. They think that the only incentive that somebody could never possibly have to have these virtues would be the presence of God. This is where this is where a lot of the arguments come from for things like without God, what is your incentive to actually emulate these behaviors? But they don't realize that there are a lot of different philosophical positions that people can hold that would allow them to highlight these virtuous behaviors. And it doesn't need to be grounded in the necessity of a God, but more in the ontology of what it means to be human.
Amen to that.
Yep.
Joe, you want to say something? You want to bring part of the context, 1 Corinthians 13?
I was just saying, if the Bible is the axiom for truth, you have to, I don't, as we talked about earlier, you can emphasize different things in the book, but I don't know how you can also get around the thing that in 1 Corinthians where it says, if I speak in tongues or men of angels, and it goes on to say a lot of different things. If I have all of the stuff, but I do not have love, I've gained nothing. And then it goes on to say, love is patient, kind, doesn't envy, doesn't boast, isn't proud, doesn't dishonor others, isn't self-seeking, isn't easily angered, and keeps no record of wrongs. And it goes on a little bit about that. And so I think that if a person is demonstrating the fruits of the Spirit, that they would have that sort of a front to their behaviors as well. And so the measure of that is in the book, if the book is the measure.
Yeah, and I hear you. Yeah, and it's that scripture is probably spoken of at every wedding that I know of. The irony I find is that in that definition of love in 1 Corinthians 13, where it says not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs, and then you go like into I think it's 1 John, where it says God is love.
Mm-hmm.
This is where
First John 4:8. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love.
Right, or just said to love one another. He used it as a verb, not as a like a feeling.
We've got to love one another. Sorry.
But this becomes a little of my contention, though. It becomes my contention, though, that if I'm going to take that definition of love and God is love, my contention's always been, well, now, just look at the Old Testament. It would appear to someone from the outside that I'm dealing with two different types of gods here.
Yeah, I mean, let's do a mashup. Okay, from 1 John 4:8 with the definition of love from 1 Corinthians 13:4. If we were to say, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is patient, kind, does not envy, does not boast, is not proud, does not dishonor others, is not self-seeking, is not easily angered. He keeps no records of wrongs and does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. He always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Well, hold on.
If you, I don't mean to interrupt, dude, but the Old Testament was prior to the sacrifice that brings us back to the love of God. That was the whole point of it. That's why it's different.
So the definition of love changes between the Old and the New Testament.
No, as a matter of fact, Jesus summed it up when he gave the golden rules, which people say he added to, but he did not add to laws. What he added was make a summary. The first 4 are represented in love God. The last 6 are represented in love your neighbor as yourself. All right, and if
how do you get around the easily angered and keeping track of things? The keeping track of one's the big one.
What do you mean? Once you're forgiven, he doesn't keep track of it.
Well, it says that love keeps no records of wrongs. Okay, it doesn't say that at any point in time that does God keep record of wrongdoings? I mean, again, you take a look at the idea that you shouldn't keep track of your good and bad stuff because God's the ultimate scorekeeper in this. That's implied. I can't remember what gospel it's in. So there.
Well, are you saying that if God says you're forgiven, that you're not forgiven?
Not at all.
Okay, well, I mean, if he forgives it and he says that he refuses to look at it again once he's forgiven you, then, you know what I mean? Then it's, as far as you're concerned, nobody's keeping record. It's not being added to you. It's being added to the...
So you're adding the caveat.
As far as you're concerned. But
is he keeping a record if you're not forgiven?
No, well, it's added to the example. It's an example of what the effects of sin, is for all eternity. We are to remember the effects of violating or transgressing God's law.
So my sins aren't keeping track of before I'm saved?
Not attributed to you. They're not held against you. I mean, you still have to choose and accept that, but I mean, overall, sin is the disease that's to be wiped out, not you.
What if you're never saved? Are they kept track of then?
Then you carry that stain on you. I mean, it's not that they're saying, hey, here's all your sins, but yes, you have yet to be clean. You're still refusing to accept a sacrifice that's freely offered. Well, that's the only thing. Cause like a Christian's not going to stop sinning. If you think that you're going to become a Christian and just, hey, you're perfect, that's not the way it is, and God knows that.
Oh, no.
So what I'm saying is, the Christian continues to sin because he can't help it. He cannot keep the law. No flesh can keep the law. So he'll continue to sin. But the difference is he's accepted the payment on his behalf for that sin. So the sins are not the penalty of being unclean or being unaccepted is no longer applied to him. Just like all the sins are basically, I mean, we all know if we're born into sin and we can't keep the law, that it's not directly our individual fault. Because nobody can, not even a Christian who's clean, right? You just can't keep the law. That's why.
Then there should be no punishment. Then.
Yeah, are you saying he doesn't?
Well, he's giving you a way out. He's giving you a way out, Eric.
It doesn't matter though. You shouldn't need a way out if it's beyond your control.
Well, I mean, if you'd like to discuss that with him, I think that's fine.
I have no interest. I don't believe in him though. That's kind of insulting, by the way.
Well, I'm sorry if you're insulted by it. I'm not trying to be insulted.
Obviously, you're not sorry about that because it really is insulting if you can't understand.
Right,
wait, let me just finish, please. If you can't understand that I don't believe in something, and you tell me that I can go and talk to something that I don't believe in to make sense of something that doesn't obviously make sense to me, that's insulting. It's dismissive.
I'm
it's
sorry
underhanded.
you feel that way.
Obviously, you're not, but fine.
I mean,
okay.
Did I not apologize already?
No, you said you're sorry I feel that way as opposed to saying I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry that you feel that God doesn't exist.
Well, I don't care if you're sorry about what.
Well, then can we not talk about it any further?
You're missing a point though, and it's an important point. It's a distinction. If you don't want to hear it now, that's fine. But there's a real distinction between saying I'm sorry you feel that way as opposed to saying I'm sorry for what I said.
Yeah.
One's an apology and one's a backhanded apology.
Yeah, but I apologized first off, and then there was this whole big explanation about it, and so I'm not. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna save it so much about that. Look, man. You know, if
fine.
you feel like I'm condescending or that was directed at you, I'm sorry. It was not.
It's like saying, "Well, I am sorry that you stepped in front of that truck and got hit."
How about this?
Right.
I'm sorry if that seems insensitive.
I'm sorry
to
you were
you.
dumb enough to step in front of it.
I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings.
That's
perfect.
That is fair. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, cool. And I mean that, dude. I told you earlier.
That's fine.
Good
It's
conversation.
great. Thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I don't know where I was going, so y'all take it over.
Okay, William. Well, let me ask you this. Is it according to the Bible? Is God the same? Has his character ever changed? Is he the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, as it says in Scripture?
As long as you're not suggesting that he's become any less complicated. I'm saying he is what he is, just like he says he is what he is. He values what he values. But if you're saying his behavior doesn't change, no, depending on the circumstance, like I said, just like me, when my children are deliberately doing shit that is stupid, like, I mean, I can't even tell you the things that I've come home to find before. I even came home one time and one of my sons had peed on his brother while he was in the tub, just whipped the shower curtain open and peed on him. And I'm just like, why? You couldn't think that was a good idea, right? So I'm mad. I can't even talk to him. I'm like, why would you? It's your baby brother. It's twisted. Why would you do that? And of course, he's just looking at me with that guppy face. I don't know, Dad. You don't know why you peed on your brother. So I'm all pissed.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, but hugging is out of the question at the moment, even though I'm the kind of guy that likes to hug my kids. I love my kids. But at the moment, I'm like, if I hug you, I might squish the life out of you because that's like the third thing you've done this week that made no sense. I mean, just you're breaking people's windows. You know, what is wrong with you? So not that he broke someone's windows. I'm just giving an example. He broke my window. That's different, I guess. So, but anyway, you know, I can't deal with that right now. But once I'm like, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go fix this. You're going to go do your brother's chores for a week. This is what you're going to do. And then when that's done, we're square. And when it's over and he hasn't gone and done stupid things and he hasn't pissed off on his chores and didn't do them or whatever, if he actually does what I ask him to do and obeys, then I feel like, okay, we're good. You get me, I get you. Now I can hug you. Now everything's forgiven. Now let's go out and toss the ball.
And would you say that's like the Old Testament?
Yeah, the Old Testament was kind of like, you know, the penalty hasn't been paid. There has been nothing offered for it. You guys are supposed to remember that this is coming by doing this horrible sacrificial system, and you're not supposed to like it as much as you're liking it. You're liking it a lot. I mean, you're sinning and just killing more sheep. That's not the point of this, you know. But people still did what they did. They made laws that he didn't authorize, and you know, he comes back and he pays the price. Now there's nothing to keep us away from him. He's found a way to put it aside so that we're acceptable. It's sin. It's, you know, it's paid for.
Okay, if I'm going, let me try to run with this here a little bit.
And I could be wrong because I'm not God. I'm just telling you this is
no, I understand. I'm just
interpretation.
Okay, I'm just trying to reason.
Sorry,
I'm trying to reason it. I'm just trying to reason this out a little bit because, all right, if you're all right, if we go say compared to the Old Testament, child does a bad thing, breaks the windows, you know, has to pay, blah blah blah, says he's sorry, you know, and then we're all squared and good. Okay, so now let's fast forward New Testament. So New Testament really says, well, now your child just has to rely on, say, your other son who, you know, he's got the big bank account, he could pay for all the damage, and there's in a sense, a lack of accountability, I would say.
This is not to say that we don't suffer punishment and correction in our lives in the meantime. Having our sins forgiven doesn't mean that we're not going to get corrected. All parents that love their children correct us, and sometimes, you know, I've been corrected by my father to the point I thought he was a cruel bastard for about a week, and then I realized, oh yeah, that was dangerous what I was doing. I shouldn't mess with his guns. That's a bad idea. You know, there's times where you don't, as a child, you don't understand the correction. You think it's too harsh, but you know, as you get older, you recognize.
I think part of the point we're trying to make earlier is like if you look at the actions of, you know, Yahweh in the Old Testament, they're not expressing these characteristics that we, are mentioned in 1 Corinthians 13. If God is truly love, why did he get jealous? Why did he keep a record? Why did he get angry? I mean,
Okay, let's
clearly
take
you have
those
to be
one at a
able,
time.
you have to see that happening in the Old
Sure,
Testament.
sure. Would you like to take those one at a time?
Yeah, if you like.
Okay, the first one you asked was why does he get jealous, right?
Yeah, when 1 Corinthians says that love is not jealous.
Right, right.
Never.
Well, envious is one thing. Jealous of someone's affections is another. Like, all right, like I was trying to tell Sugar not too long ago. Imagine you go to get your kid from daycare or whatever, and there's I don't know. Let's just say there's a new employee there that's just brilliant and full of fun and new stories, and your kid is just glommed onto him, and you go to pick your kid up, and they're like, no, I'm not. I want to stay with Janet because Janet lets me do this and lets me eat these cookies and all this kind of stuff. I don't want to leave with you. This is my new mommy. Well, no, I'm your parent. This is not your mom. This is just some chick, okay, that just doesn't give a shit about you going to college or anything else. I'm your mom. Come over here and pay attention. Look what I've done for you. You live in my house. You eat my food. You're my kid, okay? I'm jealous for your affection, your attention, and your understanding that I am your parent. There can be no substitutions. Just because this person seems to you like she's would be a great parent, you're a child. You don't know any better. This is bullshit. This lady's not taking you home. She's got no fucking use for you. She's just doing a job. She's getting paid. You know what I mean? That you would get jealous for your kid's understanding and affection. It's not the same as, doggone it, I don't understand about why my kids love that person so much. I hate that person for making my kids love them. It's not.
Well,
It's not so
here's the difference, William.
It's not a personification, dude. That's it. Just a personification of a human's reaction to a specific thing and attributing it to God.
Well, we're created in His image, so it makes sense that we're created for His companionship.
I don't know. I've never seen anyone who's ever seen God. I mean, I don't know if He's made in our image.
Well, spiritually, yeah. I mean, we value much of the same things. I mean, we're created for His company. I mean, we're companions, not pets per se, but almost like children.
That's a tough one for me. It really is.
He says he wants to talk with us. He asks us to be his friend, to invite him in and have dinner with him. He talks throughout Scripture and through lots of, I want to take you under my wing. I want to protect you, but I want you to obey me. I mean, over and over, it doesn't matter which prophet, the same personality is coming out in what's being written. Why do you betray me in all my affections and all that I'm trying to do for you? Why can't you see what I'm trying to do? Why do you run off and worship statues? Why do you sacrifice children to gods that aren't? This is
what I hear, William? What I hear, William, is
Is that me or
silence? What I hear is silence.
Yeah, that's what I hear from you.
I thought it was me. I thought my internet had crashed.
Yeah, me too.
Bastard. Not again. Why don't you love me?
I don't know what you're saying, William, because all these things, like, they kind of don't make sense to me, dude. I mean, what are you really saying? Like, what does this stuff really mean? This just seems like it's a big play on words to justify.
Are you asking me the big theme? Are you asking me the whole purpose of us? What are you asking me?
The language is so different for me that I don't know what you're getting at. You know what I mean? Like, you're putting all these concepts and ideas about that I can't relate with, and can you put it a different way? Like, I don't know how to say this.
I think,
way to say it.
if I may, first, William, I just want to say, kudos, because I know, you got a lot of non-believers in the room, and it's like almost you and against everybody. So,
I'm not against. I'm not against anyone in here.
Oh, well, you know what I'm. You know.
I want everyone here to understand that I'm not against any of you. I look at you as my friends. We might
Just talking,
disagree
bro.
on this.
Yeah.
But especially now that Ray is here. I mean, that man has an epic beard, and I can hold no malice towards an epic beard.
Sparta.
But do you know what I mean, though, dude? You know what I mean? Like, can you put it a little bit less religious talk and more, you know?
All right.
I think what William is trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, William is trying to do is explain it in a natural sense where you can get the understanding of God's behavior by putting it in a natural sense. But the difference here, though, William, is that in your example, you know, I can point to that other person that the child's given affections to. I can see the other person. Here we're dealing with, you know, apparently there's only one God. There's no other gods that exist. So why even be jealous of something that to God doesn't exist?
That doesn't mean that there's not other things, other entities. We're warned about other entities and their powers here on this terrain, in this place. When we're warned constantly. Like, look, let me try and. All right, I'm going to do this. I don't do this for many people because, you know, but since nobody here is a believer, it really doesn't matter.
Well, you got Michael Lance here. She's a believer.
Right. Okay. Yes, she is a believer, but she's certainly not dogmatic, right? I've never had her skin my ass on something I said and be like, that's not what it says. But I have had other Christians that I'll be like, yeah, if I throw this out here, they're gonna say, well, you're looking more into it. But here I go. All right. This is what I think the meaning of it all is. All right, and this is going to be as loose and as concise as I can do it.
You're wrong. Okay, sorry. I'll wait till the end. I'll wait till the end.
All right. I guess the best way to start is imagine a computer program, okay? And it's set to run indefinitely, in perpetuity, okay? And it always has been, but it makes modifications. And one of the side effects of modifications is a virus, okay? All right, this is what I'm saying. If eternity and time and all that is a construct, the two separate constructs, like eternity is without the construct of time, that's just existence, right? It goes on forever. Does that make sense? Okay. Just imagine eternity, no beginning, no end. All right, and now you have a construct that we live in, which is based on our universe, which is time, space, and matter. All right, in eternity, let's say that there's this spirit. Okay, it's an existence that it's not flesh and blood. It's non-material. How about that? Does that make sense so far? That a spiritual realm is not material. You can't put it in a box, but you can't.
No, dude. I could say I could put it. We've been putting it into a box in here, right?
I mean, maybe.
And the question that comes down to it, though, is what makes this even come into your field of perception that these would even be options for reality to be this way? Like, what makes you actually add in a God character for any of it? Like, what makes that even plausible to you?
Well, let me finish.
What do you see that makes that plausible?
Let me finish laying this out, and then because that's not. All right, let me.
Lay it out or else we're going to wind up going into another direction.
Now, this God being this force, this entity that I'm not going to assign any unnecessary characteristics to my scenario here, but creates beings with free will, because free will is the only way that you can get the effect that this being wants, which is this worship, this love, this admiration that's not forced or fake, because you can't have love if it's forced, because that's called rape, I think. But anyway, so it gives these creatures the ability to choose to serve. Also, this creates this other potential, which is to not choose him or it, to choose its own direction and go contrary to what's being designed or put in place here. All right, and in this system of perpetuity, this virus or whatever, this non-beneficial effect can go on forever unless it's contained. So to get the virus out of this system, you develop a construct to isolate it. Now, in eternity, what you don't have is finality. All right, but if you create time and you create material, you can bring an end to both. If you put these, I guess the quarantine, if you take the quarantine and you put them in this scenario, they can't escape the time factor. Okay, because you can end that. They can't escape this material existence or whatever. That will come to an end. All right. So this gives you a way to do that. Now, at the same time, I look at this being as being just. Okay, based on what I've read. Okay, and this is not just the traditional scriptures. This is also Book of Enoch, Book of Joshua, Book of Jubilees, but it's still Judaic, and I acknowledge that. So anyway, you have these quarantined individuals that were meant to go on in eternity, but since the effect they have, they've been contaminated by this virus or whatever, they're quarantined. Here we are. We're here to witness what's going on. This is about justice, and this is about a record, a living record, that if we last for as long as eternity lasts, which is, I mean, forever, we will not forget what we witnessed here and the effect of this virus, this deviation in the design. So that's what we're here to witness. These beings that you were talking about before, Brojo, indirectly, when you're talking about what they worshipped and what God would be jealous or angry at, these beings want to be worshipped too. That's part of the issue that God or this being seems to have with them. That these lesser beings want that worship for themselves and are willing to deceive to get that. And this causes that first thing in your list, the jealousy. This is not a God. This is something else. This is what I'm trying to tell you. All right. So that's what we're here for. When it comes to eternity, we'll be judged, but basically we're to witness, and He's choosing these companions, those that seem to be in His design. That's the most concise way I can put my view out there. There's a lot of caveats that you can go ahead and begin the ridicule now.
Yeah, because I so want to ask the question: why would God set up a system that would piss Himself off?
Now, why do you think it would piss Himself off?
Well, He's getting jealous and angry, and
I mean that's just risk. Like it's like this: if He wants to be loved, He has to issue free will, because you can't have that is an essential element in love, which free will. You have to be able to choose it. But if there's a risk in that.
Let me challenge that. Is that you ever hear about Stephen Law's the evil God theory?
Tell me.
Okay. Let's say that there's an evil God that's not benevolent in any way. That this God just is the most evil, vile thing out there, and he creates the universe and creates species of humans in this universe that he wants them to be evil as well. But, I mean, the best type of evil out there is the evil that he doesn't have to force. So he gives people free will, because the most amazing evil is the evil that people come to on their own accord. So he gives people the ability. So he allows us to, be good at times, because it only makes the evil that much more great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly the same situation that you're putting out there, except that there's no need for an omnibenevolent God at this point in time. All you need is a God that's evil. So really, when you take a look at the things like the problem of evil in the world, if there's an omnibenevolent God, how can there be evil? Well, because we have free will. Well, with the problem of evil, it would be like in the reverse situation, would be the problem of good. How can an evil God allow for so much good? Well, for exactly the same reason, because he gives us free will and allows us to do the evil of our own free will.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I've even imagined that it could be the trickster God. Have you ever heard of that concept? The one that does all this stuff, and at the end, no one's better than the rest. We all end up tortured for all eternity just because it was a big joke. And there's plenty of reasons, to look at that and go, well, I can see it could be. I can't say that it's not, but it just doesn't feel that way. With my personal experiences, don't match with that.
Well, I'll take you. I got to take off right away here, but to summarize, this is my opinion here. Is that I can't argue against a deistic God. if somebody believes that there is a prime mover out there in some form or capacity, Brojo's notion of God is so vague. What am I going to challenge him on? Whatever, I don't care. It doesn't interfere with my life. It might not be a personal God or anything like that. That's fine. But when it comes to personal God, when it comes to these personal religions that involve a personal God, it's equivalent to picking your favorite hockey team. If you're born in the region that supports the Christian fighting Jesuses, you're probably going to root for that team. If you're born in a region of the world that worships the Islam, Rusty Mohammeds or whatever team name they have there.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you if I was raised, in the church and all like that. But I came from the outside.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. There still is a societal pressure on you because I don't believe that you were raised in any type of situation where you would have been expressed to a huge amount of let's say Hindu.
Saka, no matter how much pressure society gives you, weird supernatural shit doesn't occur no matter how much pressure they put on you. Okay, so I was led to specifically the Christian Bible. I wasn't looking for it because it meant rules. I did not want that, but that's what I was led to. And, I was led through a couple of churches that taught me a lot of lessons, but I certainly wasn't meant to stay there. So I keep my mind open even though I'm continuing on. I just think that for some reason I was led to the Christian belief system by this entity.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, William, always a pleasure, man.
Later, Saka.
You know that we were talking about the other day in Nate's room? The personal rights and freedoms and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a hangout on that probably in the next couple of days. I'll send you a link to it when we get to it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Cool. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Hey, Bunto. I mean, not Bunto. Saka.
Yeah.
Send one to hold my unicorn too.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right.
And Jeff Keller.
I forgot about Jeff. I can't see him on the same time that Jeff's on ever. I would
want
love
to take this opportunity. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just want to take the opportunity to say hello to Danny. Or Danny.
An Ocean.
Hi there.
An Ocean. I think
Ocean.
she said she or he. I don't know. Said she's a little shy.
No, I'm actually a guy. Yeah, sorry about the Joe and Jet pick. It's just I'm always changing my pick or avatar, whatever.
Okay.
Ocean.
Okay.
Sorry guys, I would like to excuse my accent, alright? I'm not a English native speaker.
Okay.
So I will try my best just to fit in, alright?
Sure.
No worries.
No worries.
Nice. Thank you guys.
Is there anything you wanted to comment on?
I would like to know what's the debate matter now.
I wouldn't say a debate.
Or maybe a topic.
We're just trying to understand each other better.
That's good. That's always good.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I can figure.
Is it pronounced Danny?
Yeah, well, in Spanish it's Danny, just Danny.
Danny?
Okay. You can say Danny or American.
I like Donnie. Donnie sounds nice.
Guys, you say Danny, and I'm pretty okay with that. I like it, Danny.
In Spanish, my name is Eric. It's not really exciting.
In Spanish, your name is Eric.
Yes.
Eric.
Yeah. But you say it better in Spanish than I say it in Spanish.
More exciting.
It sounds much better. It sounds like exotic almost. It's not just Eric.
Say he's aboard.
Yeah.
Donnie, do you have a theological or non-theological bent?
My approach is I'm an atheist.
Okay.
Oh, brother.
Are there more atheists in this room?
Oh yeah.
Almost all of us.
We're in minority.
I'm the wimp. I can't pick a side. I'm the deist.
You're the deal.
I'm a polytheist, so
I'm a conspiracy theist.
I'm
a
ambidextrous.
conspiracy theist. I love it.
I'm a redneck. I don't know if that helps.
I'm a sexy bitch.
I like that.
Hey, St. Tommy.
Well, it's just that I'm just an atheist, and well, I just like to see what you guys are discussing about.
Oh yeah, I was just taking some scripture out of the Bible. It refers to fruits of the spirit, love, gentleness, kindness, etc. And you know how cannot own, and I know they do. Atheists, you know, show these same qualities. So
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Well, I'm full of love.
I
That's
hardly
for
know
sure.
you, so I couldn't make that judgment.
I'm going to say no because you're an atheist. Atheists aren't full of love, they're full of hate.
Tommy wants to know if you're circumcised.
And bad, dirty things. Actually, that is an important question. Are you circumcised? What does your penis look like?
Oh,
He's
I thought you
Spanish,
meant
therefore
I
let's
thought you
put
meant
some
from
kisses on the
McDonald's.
cheeks.
I
Sorry,
thought you meant
people were
like.
talking. I'm trying to find out about a penis.
Oh, sorry.
Oh God.
I thought you were talking about what he ordered at McDonald's if it was supersized.
No.
Oh my.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not quite what I'm asking.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh man, we're.
Oh,
should
so
we-
you've been molested now. How do you feel?
Oh my God.
You know, those pagans that, you know, they come into a room and just degrade the whole conversation.
No, we just make it all about sex because it's the only thing we can think about.
I'll smoke to
That
that.
has nothing to do with paganism. That's just being old.
Are you kidding me? It has everything to do with paganism. Paganism is the reason why we have sex.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh boy. Oh man.
I
Well,
thought
you know
that
what?
was to piss off. I thought that was to piss off Christians.
Because
You
they're
don't
not
think
allowed it.
things like
with
sex?
with that guys, with
It's
that
been our
guy.
show for a little bit longer.
Thank you, Ocean, for bringing our show to a close with pagan sex. Because
The best
with
of
that,
subjects.
the best of subjects, which we could probably will talk about after we go off air, because I don't like to put these things up, you know, more than 2 hours, and we're about at that 2 hour mark. I want to thank whoever came in, and no, we're going to keep going off
The
air.
more whips and chains, the better.
You know, anyone listening out there, the link to the Hangout is out there. So rate, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brojo.
Anyway,
You're the greatest. I don't care what.